Hello and welcome back to Mikey's Flightdeck. Today I will show you how you can make your own nubs for your panels. When you're building your own panels, there will come the moment when you have to think about the nubs. During the last years, 3D printers have become cheaper and better, and many cockpit builders are using these machines to produce parts for their simulators. But there's one thing that I don't like about the results of the prints, and that are these fine line structures that you can see mostly on top or on tilted faces of the prints. You can reduce them by printing with fine layers, for example 0.1 millimeters, but you will never get rid of them completely. So you have to invest time to clean the surface of your printed object. You can sand it or paint it with filler, there are some epoxy solutions, or you can even evaporate it with alcohol or acetone to melt the surface. But all this means a lot of extra time you have to invest until you get the finished product. So I thought about a reliable method to come out with results of good quality. And I thought about making molds of the nubs and cast copies of them. So I will have to do the finishing of the surface only once, and then every copy of it comes out nearly finished. For this project, Troll Factory has sent a starter kit and some additional materials to me, so I can demonstrate you all the needed components and even show two different types of silicon to you. So let's have a detailed look to what we have here. First of all, we have the big molding starter kit. It includes a book with everything you need to know about the process and materials, an aluminum frame to hold your liquid silicone, some putty to close any openings in your frame, some mold separating cream, and 1 kilogram of medium hard silicone, which is divided into an A and B component. You can order this silicone in different sizes and hardness grades, so I will test a soft silicone too. And to cast the nubs, I've chosen a quick hardening resin. For this project, I used Carl's EFIS nubs, which you can download from his website, and another Boeing nub I found on Thingiverse. You can find the links in the video description. I removed all the modeled holes in Mesh Mixer because I want to drill my own ones later. With a layer height of 0.1 millimeter, the printed nubs came out really clean, but still some layer marks are visible at the sides or on the top. And to get rid of these checker marks and these rough sides, I will cover the buttons with some thin coats of spray filler. The spray filler has dried now and the nubs are feeling really smooth now. You can't feel the layers of the print anymore, so let's prepare them for the silicone molding. I fixed the prints to the bottom plate with double-sided tape and wrapped it with the aluminum angles. So now, when we have defined the final size of our molding form, we have to know how much silicone we will have to prepare. So you can calculate this by subtracting the volume of your nubs from the volume of your form, but you can also try this out just with the rice. I have used 210 milliliters of rice, and now I have to calculate how much gram of silicon I will have to use. And I can calculate this by multiplying the volume with the specific weight of the silicon. In this case it is 1.1, and so I come out with 230 gram of silicone. I weighed half of the needed volume from component A and B of the silicone and mixed them gently to prevent any air bubbles. Insert the silicone slowly from one corner and let it flow around the parts. "20 minutes later, you can remove the guides and get the parts out of it. All the parts came out really easy, easier than I expected, and also the silicone mold came out really nice and perfect for the first try, I think. So I want to make another try with a soft silicone, the type 1. What I've done here is the medium silicone, the type 2. In general, you can say the bigger the part is that you want to mold, the harder the silicone should be. Because the softer the silicone is, the silicone can start wobbling. You can see this here, it's a little bit flexible, and you can imagine when you have a very big part with thin walls and you have a soft silicone, everything is wobbling, and this won't come out good when you later try it to fill with a resin. So I want to use a soft silicone now because I want to compare how easy the knobs will come out when I use a soft one. So there are some parts here at this button where the silicone has to go over the button and you have to pull it out, and this can be a little bit easier with the soft one. So we will try this. For the second try with the soft silicone, I have made some more of these buttons here because I will need many more of them in the cockpit, and so I can make a form where I can produce 4 buttons at the same time. And I've made these wooden guides here because they are a little bit thinner than the aluminum guides, and so for these small buttons here I can handle them better than the big aluminum guides here. By the way, when you want to make such a molding form, you can use anything you want. Some cups where you can put in the silicone. I have seen people making these holders from cardboards. It's only important when you have a button with a flat bottom, like I here, that it will be mounted on a flat surface. So I haven't showed the production of these guides here in the video because it was really simple, and I have uploaded a free SketchUp file and you can download this from my website. You may have seen I had some problems by placing the plastic here on the bottom and in the edges, because when there are several pieces of this holder here put together, then it is very difficult to grab in here and form this plastic. And now I know I shouldn't have done this from the inside. You can just do this from the outside and close all these gaps here from the outside, so no silicone will come out there. Again, I filled in the silicone slowly from one side of the form. The mold came out softer than the medium silicone. Okay, this is clear, it's a soft silicone. And especially for small parts like these knobs, this could be the choice. And I think when you have big molds, then this one wouldn't be the right choice for you, because when you have big forms and you have to put in a lot of resin, then this would bend to the outside here and not hold its form very good. So use the soft silicone only for small things. Another thing I have to mention, the silicone came off good from these plywood wars here, from my self-made form, but not too good. So if you have anything you want to use as a form here, or you want to make copies of, and it is not from metal or plastic, then you should cover your things with the Vaseline to prevent the silicone from sticking to this material. Now I prepared the resin, again mixed up from an A and B component. Keep in mind that the resin hardens from the inside to the outside. It's like the opposite of freezing water. When you freeze water and you have a very thin layer of water, it would freeze immediately, and the deeper water is, the longer it will take. The resin starts to harden where the most of the material is, and this is in the inside and inside of the moldings. Watch the thin layers when there is any layer left on top of the silicone, and when this layer is hardened too, then the knobs are fully hardened. So here they are, the new 4 knobs, and what can I say? They came out absolute precisely on the first try. Even these fine lines on the sides came out absolute precisely, and there's not much you have to do with them. Also these other round knobs here I've made with the medium silicone came out absolutely clear, and the only thing I will have to do is to sand the bottom of the knobs a little bit more flat to have a clear and crisp rounding here, and then they are ready to paint. As I said before, for these small knobs here and such small castings, it can be a better decision to use a soft silicone because they will come out more easily. After this coat of primer, I decided that it is time to prepare all the holes that are needed in this knob. As there are a bigger hole in the center of the circle here to mount the knob onto a shaft, and another hole in the side of this knob to tighten the knob onto the shaft later. The hole in the bottom has to be in the center of this circle here. And to know the exact center of the circle, I just built this little jig here where I can inlet the knob and then draw some line, and you know where you have to place your drill. The size of the shaft hole depends on the diameter of your shaft, and from the sides I inserted 3 mm set screws. Then I applied the final color. To paint the marking on the front, I masked an area to paint it white and added the black stripes with a fine liner. And here they are, my first homemade nubs. So let's get into some conclusions about this method of making nubs. Is this the method everyone should use for his projects? No, not in general. Let me describe some scenarios where other methods could be more efficient. When you only need 1 or 2 buttons for your panel, then save your time and material and just buy them. Yes, these nubs are very expensive in my opinion, and even replicas. But when you have to take into consideration the time you will need to make one of these nubs, then the money could be a good investment. When you have a 3D printer that can print such a nub in a good quality, and again, you only need 1 or 2 of these nubs, then just print them. Cover them with some spray filler and you're ready to go. But now we come to the advantages of this method. Let's look to the print time. For a set of 4 nubs, it took me about 3 hours to print them. With a finished silicone form, I will only have to wait about an hour for the resin to dry and the nubs come out finished. I will not have to cover them with spray filler or sand them anymore to come out with a good quality of the surface. And it doesn't matter how many nubs I produce. The only limitation is the number of casting forms I have. The next advantage is that a resin nub has a 100% infill. Try this with your 3D printer and your printing time will increase into the sky. And because this is fully solid, I can drill holes and cut threads into it. This is a big advantage when I want to produce knobs but don't know the exact dimensions of the shaft that will have to fit in later. I can now continue producing knobs, put them away and finish them later when I know exactly what hardware I will use. Let's come to the quality of the painting. Well, I think the fine liner method to produce these black stripes here isn't my favorite one. Maybe it's my lack of drawing talent, but the end result doesn't satisfy me. It's looking like a hand-drawn knob and not like a professional one, and this might be okay for some builders but not for me. And so I will change the knob model to get rid of the groove in front of here, make a new molding form and later place a printed sticker onto the knob. This I can cut out exactly with a knife, and so I will come out with a clear line. But I think you got the idea of making these knobs, and I will do this later and present the results on Instagram. But whatever you do, cover the knobs with some coats of clear varnish. You will protect the paint. I'm using water-based paint and that doesn't stick very good to the resin. So I will avoid any scratches that can happen during the use. Anyway, a big step forward for the cockpit project, and I'm very surprised about the good results you come out with in the first tries. Casting knobs was always a big mystery for me, but now I would definitely use it for some tasks in the future. A big thanks to Rainer Habekost from Troll Factory for making me available all the needed materials. And if you want to know more about the different products, then you will find a link to his website in the video description. And if you want to stay informed about new videos from me, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. So I hope we will see us soon back on the flight deck.